Hello, hello, hello. It's your boy Mike, and this is the NBA slash Raptors weekly podcast. As I am just finishing off watching the Cavs and the Raptors play, like the game is still going on as I'm recording this podcast. Now, the thing is, in watching, like, I don't know, I'm a sicko. I told myself I'm gonna start watching like Batman versus Superman, just the Snyder cut, because I finally have Crave TV, so I decided to do it. But I'm still a sicko. I'm still watching. I don't know. I think I'm just watching just to watch for entertainment purposes. The Toronto Raptors have lost this game. They're losing this game. I seen on Instagram. I want to talk like just I want to talk Drew Holiday. I want to talk Lakers. That's like the NBA part that I want to talk. There's nothing really to talk about so much in the NBA. I just want to talk about those two people, Drew Holiday and the Lakers, and then I'm gonna go into my Raptors conversation. Now, in talking about the Raptors, and I'm gonna do this one quick. I saw on Instagram, which makes me laugh, quite frankly, is that someone said that this game against the Cavs was a must-win game. Because of course, this game will get to 500. It's gonna start off that road trip that I think is actually pretty could be pretty difficult. That road trip, I think it has potential to be very hard for this team. And I don't think it's all road. I think they have that. Their next game is against Chicago, which is home. So I can see, their home game against Chicago and the next few games being hard. But someone saying this is a must-win game must have not known that they played yesterday, or I should say on a Saturday at 12 o'clock. They played at 12 o'clock. Then they have to come here. And yes, of course, there's back to backs. But that back to back was just so weird being at 12 and then your next game's at 6. And then, I don't know. I just don't think it was the best scheduling. And sometimes in life, there's scheduled losses where I think this was a scheduled loss. Also, especially because the team really didn't stand out yesterday, or once again Saturday. So I didn't really think this was gonna happen, and and they didn't have Fred, didn't have their point guard. The Cavs, who themselves lost three in a row. The Cavs just lost three in a row, so they actually needed this game. They had a day off. They're playing this team like the Cavs needed this win more than the Raptors did. Sometimes that happens. And like I said, the schedule loss. You don't want to lose. Like you don't want to lose. But the Raptors in the last 8 games are 7-8. It was that weird Utah game. But honestly, even the Utah game beforehand, like both Utah games were kind of weird. But that Utah game on February 1st, if we just go from February 1st, the Raptor team is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 7-3. So in their last 10, they're 7-3. So clearly, this Raptor team hit a new stride. They hit a new leaf. I do think they can. There's games that they can win. They'd still be a good team in the Pelicans. They're still a pretty good team. I know the record may not show it. They beat the Grizzlies, which is a good team. Honestly, still Utah, though they lost, is a good team. And Orlando's a good team too. I don't care what anyone tells me. The Orlando has beaten the Boston Celtics and they beat the Raptors. And like, if they truly wanted to, and if they like, honestly, the Orlando Magic got a piece on the deadline. They got like an extra body from the deadline. I honestly wouldn't have been shocked if they climbed up in the standings. So I just want to share that little tidbit. But yeah, my main thing is that when someone said it's a must win, I'm like, do you watch basketball? A must win? This is not a must win. You would like them to win. This is not a must win. It can't be. Their two Washington games are a must win. The two Washington games are definitely a must win, right? I think both of them will be a must win. They must beat Chicago to be 31-32 because right now the Raptors are 30-32 with that loss against Cleveland. But now you have to beat Chicago, and you have to beat Washington both times. I would say those Washingtons are more must wins. So at least by next week Saturday, by the next time I do this podcast, they'll be they have 3 games. They'll be 32-31. Sorry, there will be 33-32. So at least that's when you hit a crazy stretch when you face Denver twice and the two LA. You play the Clippers and the Lakers, and which now moves to my transition. Not the greatest transition, but moves to my transition to facing to the Laker game. The Raptors will face the Lakers in about 2 weeks from now. The Lakers Just beat the Dallas Mavericks. Why I want to talk about the Lakers is simple. I just made my video. You guys hopefully have watched it about LeBron James, saying that we need to appreciate his greatness. I feel like and I did that before. I did that video before I even watched the game. And when I saw LeBron get down and say, I heard it pop, I'm like, damn it. What did you hear pop? So whatever you heard pop doesn't sound good. And and none of us want LeBron to be hurt. None of us want anything wrong to happen to LeBron. But when you hear him say, I heard it pop, all of us were a little shook. I know myself, I was definitely shook. Because I just literally said, like, this guy who we haven't even seen have injuries like that. We really haven't. He's been healthy throughout his career. This guy, we are believing to ourselves that this guy, or some of us will believe that this guy is like the best player we've ever seen. My video was all about appreciating him and appreciating what he's done for the league. Appreciating the fact that we are not going to see this guy for very long. We're watching a living legend. Are we appreciating what we're seeing today? My whole video was about that. That this guy was and is a top, I'll say a top, 10 player right now. He's a top 2 player of all time. Top 3 player of all time. This is something that, like, when we watch this and we're talking about this guy, we all have to put more respect on his name. So, LeBron, as I was talking about him, like, we don't have a lot of time of this, of how good LeBron is right now. Which, in the part of the video I said, this is why Anthony Davis needs to be much better. Anthony Davis needs to be the number 1 guy on that team. LeBron can carry you. LeBron can still score 25 points a game, 8 and 8. LeBron can do it. He can do it all because he's cerebral. He's smart. He knows what the hell he's doing when he's on the court. LeBron's just been LeBron ever since. LeBron's been that guy. So there's no doubt that he'll continue being that guy. Now, I'm saying that about LeBron, right? I'm talking about LeBron now. And speaking of, like, the Lakers as a whole, that was a good win against the Dallas Mavericks. That was a good win. The Lakers are coming. They're only the West and the East are like, that's basically the 5th and the 6th seeds to all the way to the 10th seeds. There's like 3.5, 4 games. You just need, if you're a team like the Lakers and even the Raptors, I'm starting to see that. I feel like there's so much parallel to both of them, where they didn't start off well. Both teams thought they would be much better, and now, like, they're seeing themselves climb up. With the Lakers, it was the acquisition of a bunch of players. With Toronto's acquisition of 1 player. This being a Toronto podcast, I always kind of try to relate it back to them. Now, in saying that, the Lakers have a squad now. They really have some guys. They beat the Dallas Mavericks based off the squad that they have. And I don't know what D'Angelo Russell's injury is. I don't know what the reports have shown. I'm not sure of all that. But currently, this team is really good. What makes the Lakers so, not I don't say so good to me, but what makes the Lakers good, and what I actually like about the Lakers, is the fact that, when I look at that championship team, it had LeBron and AD. AD was actually at, like, such a peak of his ability, which I think he can get to again, where LeBron was LeBron. LeBron has been LeBron. That's why I have to appreciate this guy. But what they had was a lot of guys who were doing a bunch of other things. And I'm going to talk about Jrue Holiday and the Milwaukee Bucks next, because this is why I think, like, you have to be organized as a team. And I think with the Lakers, they know it's those 2 guys. Honestly, the number 1 option for the Lakers still to this day is still LeBron James. As much as we all think it should be Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis may score a couple points more here in a couple games, but we know the number 1 guy is LeBron. And the thing with being a number 1 guy, it doesn't mean you're the number 1 guy, like, who has to score the basket every single time. It's just like the focal of the game, the person who's managing the game who it's centered around. It is LeBron James, and it's still to this day LeBron James. That's it. But that Lakers team that won a title was actually a pretty good team. People talk about it being the bubble, but that year the Lakers were the number one seed, and they were like the number one seed going into they're the ones who going into the playoffs. Like all those things before the pandemic happened, the Lakers were number one. So I don't know why people are talking. Lakers were number one the following year. The Lakers were good enough that people thought that they would have beat the Phoenix Suns that year. Like Lakers were still a pretty good team. So I don't know, this whole talking about the bubble, that's just pretty stupid to me. I think it's just to honestly downgrade LeBron's greatness. Let's just be honest. That's how I see it. Now, the Lakers at that time had, KCP, Danny Green, they had a Kuzma, they had a Caruso, they had a bunch of guys they had a Rondo, like they had a bunch of guys who knew their roles. They played hard. They played hard together. They offensively, were good. Defensively, they were really good. They were actually really good defensively, but that's what made them like really good. Like they had the two guys, and everyone worked around it. Now with this team, when I see this team, I see this. I see their number 1 and 2 in LeBron and AD. Once again, they have a bunch of guys. I think most of us, and what makes this crazy, this past game against the Mavericks, Rui Hachimura, who I thought was going to come into this team and be their third guy. I really thought he'd be their third guy. Haven't seen him so yet. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll still be that Kuzma for them. Even though I think the Kuzma is going to be D'Angelo Russell when he gets back. Mind you, they didn't play D'Angelo Russell against them. And I think D'Angelo Russell has moments where he could be like a heat check guy. Defensively, he will fall off. He's just not there. But when you have a Vanderbilt doing what he did to Luka, it makes things a lot easier. Right? So, to me, they have the two guys. Now, who's their Kuzma? Offensively, that's going to be D'Angelo Russell. Who's their KCB and Danny Green? Well, that's where you have Vanderbilt right there. And you have Dennis Schroeder right there, who can be like the Rondo type. Schroeder's a good defender. He didn't play good defense like a year ago, but he's actually still a pretty solid defender. Vanderbilt is showing his worth. If Vanderbilt just can hit clutch, and the man, I forgot the stat line. I think someone said he was like 15, and I think he had a double-double, like I think he had 18 rebounds. I will try to fact check it as I am saying this because I want to actually be right about this. But if Vanderbilt's giving you that defense, where if you're saying Vanderbilt guard the best defensive player on or the best offensive player on the other end, like that's not bad. Like he could be solid with an Anthony Davis, who I think now has embraced the center position. That's good. And if they want to, they could always play Mo Bamba, who could be a good center, who's actually shooting the three sufficiently. So this Laker team is way deeper now. And I don't know if they're going to get a buyout person. I would love for them to get like a Derrick Rose who will play like 12 minutes a game and can be explosive for them. I'm looking at, Vanderbilt got 15 points, 17 rebounds. Vanderbilt's like not like that tall, but he did it. So this Lakers team, they did it. Now Anthony Davis is realizing he probably doesn't agree with it. Of course, they may have to some days probably they want to play a Mo Bamba, things like that. That's fine. But when you look at this team, the best version of this team, Anthony Davis at the 5, LeBron at the 4, and then having a bunch of guys who can be switchable. Now, when you have D'Angelo Russell, they won't be switchable. Beasley's not a great defender. He's not. But offensively, he didn't have a good game this last game, but he is a good fit. So like I said, Kuzma's your D'Angelo Russell offensively. Your Caruso's can be your like Vanderbilt defensively. Troy Brown Jr. defensively. Austin Reeves defensively is good. He's good. The man still played 27 minutes. Played more than Rui. When the playoffs come, you know you're playing LeBron and AD. You have to play Schroeder, because Schroeder, I think, some games he's like he's your third best player. And I think as long as you can kind of know who your third best player is going to be, I think it's good. Where if him and Russell can kind of feed off each other and be that third best player, that's really good. KCP was the third best player. It wasn't Kuzma. In the finals, it was KCP. Look at the stats. Definitely KCP. Then if you have that person, that's good. You have Vanderbilt. Like that's your closing unit. That's you still have 3 point shooting in Schroeder. Vanderbilt's your defender. You have AD's also your defender. Let's never forget that AD's a great defensive player still to this day. And you have LeBron James. So I put that unit. I can put it with anybody. Yes, it may not have the names like the Clippers, and with the Denver hasn't done anything in the playoffs yet. They made it to the Western Conference Finals, but that was years past. We need to see them do it. We need to see Jokic do it. Now the Phoenix Suns are a team that like people. Yes, they have Devin Booker, they have CP3, you have Kevin Durant, you have DeAndre Ayton. It's just about the fifth guy. Some say it could be Torrey Craig, it could be a Koji, it could be anyone. Who knows? But that's the team that you could be scared about. You could be scared about. But other than that, like I'm looking at this Lakers team. If they go on a run, they are the team that you don't want to face. They are the team. I do think they're. I don't know. I feel like they're missing like I think they're missing a piece, but maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're not missing a piece. Maybe all they're in need of is to ensure that Anthony Davis is liberated to shoot and score as much as he wants to. And then for LeBron to pretty much do the same, and for everyone else to play the aggressor role. They all could be aggressive, as much as long as Anthony Davis and LeBron give them some time off, let them do their thing, and as long as everyone knows that the goal is title, I think this team's a good team. Which I want to lead to the team that I never had a favorite, and I think before my prediction, I forgot. I think I've changed my prediction multiple times. I think at one point I said Boston. I still think Boston, is a very good team. But the team that I think is going to come out the East, if you ask me today, is the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, why I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to make it is simple. Jrue Holiday. If Jrue Holiday is going to play like this, the Milwaukee Bucks will not be beaten. Right now, the Milwaukee Bucks, they competed against Boston when they faced them, and they competed again today against the Phoenix Suns. Yes, the Phoenix Suns don't have Kevin Durant. Okay, whoop-de-doo. If you had to draft that whole squad of Phoenix and Milwaukee right now, it would be number one Devin Booker, right? Number one guy. Some people may pick Holiday. Right now, this is like right now with them healthy, like the way everyone's playing. But besides Kevin Durant and Giannis, you're not picking Chris Middleton right now because he's hurt. He's hurt. He's not even like fully healthy, which is what makes all this even much better, right? So my whole premise is that the Milwaukee Bucks are doing all of this without Cash Money Chris Middleton healthy. They're doing this without Giannis. You're doing this without arguably, I don't even know if it's an argument, the best player in the league right now. You're doing all this without the best player in the NBA right now. This team is good. You have Bobby Portis who can honestly give you 18 points a game. He really could. I think he shows up for every game. He's a guy that I never feel like he doesn't show up. I feel like he generally shows up for every single game. So he's one of those people that I think he's gonna be there. I think he's gonna be there when you need him. So that's him. So he's good to me. Then there's you have Joe Ingles, another good player, who it hasn't been the Joe Ingles that we have seen in the past. But I think when playoff comes and you need a guy who's going to be an irritant, who's going to annoy every single person, I think they'll be fine. I think he'll be annoying. So you have those two guys, and then you have Connaughton, who is a solid 3-and-D guy. You have Grayson Allen, who I'm not sure if he's gonna get a lot of minutes, and you have a guy in Crowder who is honestly the fact that he faced Phoenix today. I'm surprised he didn't want to go for 40, or he didn't try to shoot every single point, but he clearly didn't. I know a lot of people backed him up. He's more of an organization thing that he didn't mess with. But that's a guy who, during the clutch times, is going to be really good. So they're closing five. They have so much options. They can go a closing five of Giannis, Middleton, Holiday, for sure. Those are the three for sures. And then you can go, if you want to just defense, you go Lopez, and then you can go Crowder. You can Keep Lopez, take out Crowder, put Ingles for a little bit more ball handling and offense. Or you can put a Connington if you want to. You can put a Grayson Allen if you want to. But as long as you know, and then you can take out Lopez, put Giannis at the 5. So you go Giannis, Middleton, Holiday, Crowder, and you go Ingles again. If you want to go really just depth and wing and defensive coverage, if you really want all that, you can. All in all, Drew Holiday. I saw someone tweet this. I think it was Bill Simmons who tweeted this. I'm gonna say it too because that's exactly what I thought when I saw it. Drew Holiday. I don't know the NBA. I don't know the ballots right now. I don't know if I put it in writing. I don't know what I would say. But Drew Holiday is an All NBA player right now, and that's how he's playing. That's how he's been playing. Drew Holiday. I think he's like, but besides this game, if I take away this game, he's still. Well, even if you add this game, he's averaging 25 and 7. 25 and 7. And defensively, like, even forget the stats, defensively is still the best guard in the league. Best defensive guard in the league. He still is. The way he's been guarding guys, he's still the best defensive guard. Milwaukee Bucks, I think that they have it. They have it. They and the reason why they have it is because they play such great defense. So yeah, Boston is deep. Boston's one of the deepest teams in the league. But this Milwaukee Bucks team is good, which relates back to one of my original points. I don't think I'm gonna talk a lot about the Raptors overall. I don't think so because I don't have much to say. Like I'm gonna talk more about the NBA because I'm trying to love it. I might start doing just a full on a bunch of teams and may not focus too much on the Raptors and focus on everything else podcast because there's so much is going on in the league. Even the fact that Trae Young, lost his coach and like that team, we don't know what's gonna happen. Whatever. The Brooklyn Nets are a fighting team, but are they gonna drop? Looks like they are. Who knows? But what I was saying originally was every team needs organization. I was talking about the Lakers just now. They have such organization. They have such organization, right? It's Anthony Davis and LeBron and everybody else. And what sucked is that it was Anthony Davis and LeBron when they had Russell Westbrook. Russell wanted it to be like them three. When I said it from day one, it can only be two, right? You need organization. I say the same thing with the Raptors. One thing with that failed the Raptors, there wasn't organization. I feel like there's better organization now where it's like Pascal's the one and everyone. So when it comes to the Bucks, it's Giannis is our number one guy. Our clutch guys, when we need to get a bucket, and then, like, of course you can give it to Giannis, but you need, like, a mid-range shot or a three-point shot. The guys you're going to give it to is Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. And if we need some guys to splash, we have Crowder who can hit the corner three. We have Ingles who can hit the corner. You don't want Ingles to be open for a shot. I would never want that. I would not want Grayson Allen in the corner. I do not want Pat Connaughton in the corner. Like, when you have honestly, the team is darn near perfect. When you have Brook Lopez, he was a defensive player of the year candidate in the beginning of the year. And, like, of course it tails off a little bit, but he's a guy that when you're going down to the rim, if he's there, you're like, shit, this guy may block my shot. This team is so organized well. It's beautiful to see. The Bucks are honestly the team that I think are to beat. I think there's just no team. I think they match up well with everyone. I don't care who you have. Bring the Suns again with a KD. You're bringing in Giannis. That's voided. That's voided. Now it's about what Shaq would say, the others. It's about Devin Booker. Okay, Holiday's locking that up like he did in the finals too. Chris Paul ain't doing shit anyway. Ayton, what is Ayton doing? After that, they need to get some buyout guys. Yes, Terrence Ross can hit the three, but he ain't gonna do a lot in the playoffs. I'll be shocked to see that. Where I know Connington will do some stuff. I know Grayson Allen, he can sit down. I'm okay with that. But Crowder, this team is good. I really like this team. This is a good team. This is a good team. I honestly can see, and then even Javon Carter, who is a pesky defensive player, and with given minutes, he has like scored buckets when given minutes. He's not the greatest 3-point shooter, but He's just quality. Like this team, it just has so much quality guys. They're a good team. Honestly, they're a good team. Before I even continue about the Raptors, I'm gonna say make sure you guys like and subscribe. Follow on all social media platforms. I just had to talk. I literally talked to Lakers and Bucks. It could be the finals. Of course, like I personally want to see LeBron win the title. Of course, if it's not the Raptors, it's always gonna be LeBron. And if it's not them, I do want to see the Bucks win. I like Giannis. I'm not sure if I was a big fan of Giannis in the past, and not like there's no hate because it's just weird to hate players, but I would say I really like this team. I love Drew Holiday's defense. I like Cash Money Chris. I like the way they're just organized. I love organized teams. I love when people know what they're doing. I love, you know, when I play basketball, I'm not the greatest at it at all by any means. I'm not even good. But I like to play the point. I probably shouldn't play point, but I love seeing organization. I love seeing that this is the number one guy, and we all just follow suit. We all play the hustle. We all work our ass off to win the game. Because at the end of the day, what you want to do is win the game. That's what it's all about. I just want to win. I don't care about nothing else. And that's what I like about that. But yeah, make sure you guys follow, like, subscribe on all platforms. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Uh, Once again, Raptors. Raptors. They are 7-8. They were 7-8 this this past like time. They're 7-3 in the past 10. Like, come on, guys. I'm like I said, I saw that post and I thought it was kind of weird. The Raptors team has been good. Scotty's been better. OG's coming back from injury, so I'm not gonna harp on that. You know, he's coming back from injury. When that wrist gets a little better, and it may not get great this year. His wrist may not be great this year unless he gets some legit like time away. His wrist not may not be amazing. He hit a 3 point shot that like out of the all the shots he hit because he was hitting some potential easier ones for him. You know, when that stuff was happening, just it was just bad. Gary Trent had a horrible game against Cleveland, but I'm confident that Gary Trent will score like 20 points next game. Like I trust Gary Trent. I trust that this team, when organized, properly organized, will be fine. Once Fred is back, and once again, congratulations to Fred, becoming a father of three now. Congratulations to him. Shout outs to Freddie V. But what I see with this team, you know, Pascal gives you a 25-8-5. He's doing it with a loss too, right? Now with the wins, he's giving you the same amount. It's about once again everyone else now stepping in. I think with this team, the next steps for the Raptors is it's simple. It's establishing this team now. It's about establishing lineups. It's about establishing that this is the crunch time. This is the time that we really need everyone. I would say the one thing that I wasn't a fan of, and I saw all over Twitter that people weren't fans of it either. This whole thing of Nick Nurse playing his guys that long is like, and I get it. Pascal only played 33 minutes, and OG only played 34. Pascal that and OG, that was like 5 minutes more than they had to play. The game was pretty much done. It was done. I barely even watched the game because I would have watched it more if it was a close game, to be honest, but I didn't because I didn't think they were gonna win. I didn't think so. I would actually would have been more shocked if they won. I didn't think they were gonna win. I had no faith that they're gonna win this game. It just the optics weren't in their favor. The optics weren't in their favor. Cleveland needed to win this game. First of all, they didn't want to get swept by the Raptors. That's one. You didn't want to get swept by the Raptors. Because if you got swept by the Raptors, you would have been quite pissed off, let me say. And they don't have, you know, they don't, they have an average schedule going forward. They have two games against Boston, which are going to be stupidly crucial for them. Because that's a team, if they want to make it far in the playoffs, they're going to have to see. And if the Boston Celtics are second and maybe the Cavs can get up to third because Philadelphia has one of the hardest schedules, that's a team that you want to, it's a measuring stick game. And, you know, and if you just lost to Philly, just lost to Denver, and just lost to Atlanta, you needed that Raptor game. You did. So I was, once again, pretty confident that they were going to lose that game. The Cavs just needed it more. Now with the Raptors, like I said, organization. I think this whole podcast is just me talking about how organized a team needs to be. Number one option is Pascal. You are running through Pascal. That's it. For this stretch run and for this playoffs, in watching this game and watching this team, okay, their second guy is Fred. I think as much as you want to experiment as Scotty and OG, the second option is Fred. That's the guy you want. Once again, if a player is hot, you don't take the ball off their hands. You do their thing. Scotty has to be your all around guy, which I think he's been doing a great job at. I think he's been doing great. He's your all around guy. He's the one that's going to get the points. He's going to hunt mismatches. He's going to find open guys. I think he should be honestly the team's second point guard. If I know now they're playing down Junior a little bit more, but ultimately you play down Junior with a Pascal, with like OG, play with a guy like you're not playing him by himself. Where with Scotty, I'm thinking you can let this guy play the point as much as you want. The three guys I want handling the ball the most is Pascal, Fred, and Scotty. So Scotty's either overall. OG, I see what people still want OG to be. I like OG a lot, and I think what he brings to the table is essential, and it'll always be essential. Always. OG is your 3 and D guy. I just spoke about Jerry Vanderbilt, all the things he did. I would personally want OG to be that menace. I would want him to be that menace. That's what I would want. I would want him to guard the other team's best player. If in Chicago, probably be Zach or Lamar. And I would want OG to be that guy. I want OG to guard them. OG's hand is hurt. OG hopefully can hit like the corner three better, but it is what it is. And then you have Pirtle, who's gonna clean up the glass, who's gonna be defensive minded, who's gonna be dirty, and he's just like gonna be the center that we've been looking for. You know, he had a lot of good games recently. He still was 5 of 6 last game. Still gave you 9 rebounds. He actually had 3 assists, which shows he's a really good passer. 13 points. Like he's gonna give you 10 and 10. Like he is the most like even keel, average player, but he does so much for you, which is what you need. Once again, you don't need everyone to be like 25 points a game. You don't need everyone to be Pascal. You don't need everyone to be Pascal, but you need 25 points from Pascal, and you need like 18 from Fred. 15 from Scott. Scott should be giving you 15, 5, and 5. I don't care. That's what he should be doing, right? That's like perfect stat lines, right? Now your bench organization is because Gary's coming off the bench, and he may not want to, but that's where I think like this offseason, and we'll get to offseason when we get to off. This is a couple months ahead. I don't see OG on this team anymore. As much as we want to say, I don't see it. I can see Gary finally becoming that two guard that I think the Raptors sometimes need, because I talked about Cash Money Chris. I wish that, my dream scenario is that's Gary Trent. He's Cash Money Chris. He's the clutch guy at the end. After a Scotty and a Pascal have given you a bunch of points, but you need that guy to get you that last 2 points, that jumper, that 3-point shot. And he's done it a couple times. And I said it's Gary Trent. So you have off the bench, you got Gary, you have Precious, you have Boucher. Those are the 3 guaranteed bench guys. Guaranteed. Nothing's really stopping that. And then, after that, to me, it's Thad Young. I think Thad Young right now, like, he's a vet, right? I'm not sure if he ever wants to retire or not, but I hope we almost keep him to become a coach. I like that a lot. I think what he brings is good. He's such an organizer. He makes things. He's just so even keeled again, and he just makes good things happen. I think when he's on the court, good things just happen. So that's my 4, and then my 5th. I don't know. I'm still riding Malachi Flynn. I see that Downton Jr. has actually been really aggressive. Like, he's been really aggressive. But I think Malachi honestly didn't do anything to And this is my one of my biggest gripes with like Nick Nurse's lineup sometimes. And of course he knows better, but I always feel like guys are we're so quick to bench guys. We're so quick to move them aside, and I'm not a big fan of that. I kind of think like Malachi didn't do anything to lose his spot. I thought he's been pretty good. I swear, one of his last games, the one of the games he played, he was actually really good for everything you needed him to do. And I think if he's giving you like 10 minutes a game, he's helping get Fred some rest. Like I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you can go 10 deep. I know playoff wise, depending on matchup, you go a certain guy deep, but that's where it is. You just organize this team. At the end of the day, you still need to score over 100 points. You can do it. You can do it. Score 100 or 100 points. Just play stronger defense, which they've had. I'm not counting this Cavs game. This is a scheduled loss, guys. This is a scheduled loss. If you're a Raptor fan, if you're a person who loves ball, come on. This is a scheduled loss. It was gonna happen. You want them to compete every single game, which I believe they've have every single game. They probably just got tired, which teams get tired after back to backs all the time. Look at the standings. Like we've been talking about the standings for so long, and we've been talking about the way things have been. If you look at the standings, there's only certain teams that are like the anomalies: the Boston, the Milwaukee's, and Denver. Only of the three teams in the whole league over 40 games have been won. Yes, now the next is Philly and Cleveland. That's the closest to in the West alone. Alone, you know, the Pelicans have 30 wins, they're the 10th seed, 30 wins, 10th seed. The Grizzlies have 36 wins. So 6 games back. From the second seed to the 10th seed, okay? Second to the 10th seed are 6 games. And that's crazy. That's that. Now in the East, you have the Washington Wizards are 28 and 32. So they and the Philadelphia that's 10 games. But even so, you have Brooklyn at 34, Toronto's at 34 games. Like it's just 4 games that are in the 5th and the ninth seed. Like this league is good. That's why I talked about Orlando being a good team. Orlando goes on a run, they're the 10th seed. They're the ninth seed. Honestly, they've been so good. They're a good team. I think they're the team they're gonna crack that 6th or 7th next year for sure. Yeah, for sure. If they were their record in the last, I think like 30 games, if they were if that was the start of the season, they would be a top 10 seed. And that's how good Orlando's been. And that's where going back to my Raptors, I know I go on a tangent, but with the Raptors, what we want to see is organization. This team is coming. It's honestly coming, and we just, it's just we just gotta wait and see. We just gotta wait and see. This team is coming. Um, their next stretch of games: Chicago, Washington, Washington. I think they can go 3-0. You beat Chicago on Tuesday. You face Washington on Thursday. You face Washington on Saturday. I think you can go 3-0. That's a lot of time you got. You got a lot of time. You know, it's a lot of time, and you can't take that's time for granted. Now Washington, yes, has been better. Yeah, but they just got like blown out by Chicago. So I think they've been better, but they're not that. They're not that team. Let's just say. So you go Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You have a game off, a day off a piece. Get some relaxation going, some more team chemistry going. Get Gary coming from the bench once Fred comes back, because Fred should be back by the Chicago game. That's why he didn't come. He's not going to Cleveland. When he didn't go to Detroit, he's not going to come to Cleveland. Go back to Toronto for that Chicago game. It actually doesn't even make sense. It's good that he stayed in Toronto. He comes, he'll be ready, he'll be geared up. I'm pretty confident Fred's going to give us 30 points that Chicago game. I'm pretty confident in that because he just had a baby. He missed 3 games. He's like, let's go. He's like, let's go. I'm a papa. I'm trying to. I'm geared up. I was stressed out, but now my wife, the babysitters, they got this. I think he's gonna do well. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. And I think this Raptor team will be fine because when I do my podcast next week, that's where it's a tough stretch. You got that Denver, LA, Denver flex that it may be tricky. It may be really tricky. But then you got that OKC, Minnesota, Milwaukee. We have to wait and see. But if they're chasing for that first seed, it's gonna be something. And I know a lot of people are like, the season's winding up, and a lot of people think that the last two Boston and Milwaukee games are gonna be like these teams are not gonna be trying. I wouldn't be so confident in that at all because of the fact that Boston and Milwaukee are fighting for the first seed. So if Milwaukee has to play the last game to get the first seed, they'll do it. I know last year they didn't care, but that last year it messed them up. They needed that. They really needed that. Now they don't have it, so they're trying to. And so is Boston. Boston knows how important it is getting the first seed is, and I think they're going to be that team one. So I don't think the Raptors stretch is that easy. If you go just in April, yes, they face Charlotte twice, and we'll know what the playoff picture is going to look like then. But I think this team could be a play-in for sure. But we just have to see that Brooklyn Nets team, because if they fall off from the play-in, there's a team that has to climb up. Right now, Miami has been struggling themselves, so this is the time to pounce. This is the time to get greedy with some wins, and it sucks with those losses in the past that have happened. But you can't look in the past anymore. This team is much better. I think having a Jakob Poeltl makes this team like 10 times better than they are right now. And when you have a guy like Jakob, it makes the guys like Siakam, Fred, OG, Barnes, makes all their games much easier. And I really want to see what we can do with Gary Trent coming off the bench. Because I think he scores actually more points coming off the bench than he does starting, because he's not the number one focus when he's there. Where when he is off the bench, he's the focus. That's the guy. I think if him, Boucher, and Achua can just cause havoc, I think this team could be really good. Honestly speaking, it could be really good. Have them with like a OG and maybe a Barnes. That unit could be like really good, really good. You have the offensive hub, and you kind of go from there. But that's really it for me. I think I'm done speaking so much. I enjoyed doing this podcast today. Thank you so much. Shouts out to everyone who's listening. I hope you all keep listening. Keep listening. Please subscribe, like, share. I feel like I just want to talk more about ball because I can do it all day. I Test podcast is coming because that's what I'm going to do. That NBA podcast will be a I Test podcast where I'm just going to talk about whatever I want. I may do it on video, I may not. It really depends. When you do it on video, it's such a longer video sometimes, so harder to edit. When this is just a podcast, you can kind of just put it up. So we'll see. We'll just got to wait and see. But thank you, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you again. Peace.